So, the illustrious Lord and Master of Britannia decided to grace the people with his magnificent presence. Or some twaddle along that, I don't know, it's about 3 o'clock now. Um, I was expecting him to issue in some weak-ass version of another lockdown. I wasn't expecting him to come out with a massive nothing burger. And that's essentially, in practical terms, what he did. Now, he did his usual blustering and lied. But throughout all of it, what I kept thinking was, what is the point of this? I mean, seriously, what is the point? I've been saying for ages, this is a part-time Prime Minister. What was the bloody point of him coming out? And it dawned on me, actually like 2 minutes before I turned the camera on. You see, Boris Johnson is very good at, well, blustering, conning, selling himself. I was going to say he's much like his American counterpart, but he is American. He was born in the States. Johnson is very much like his orange counterpart in that he can sell himself, which is actually surprising given that he does his damnedest to stay away from people on the campaign trail and in general. But this whole shtick was purely to reach his fan base, because there are still people out there saying Johnson's doing the best he possibly can, which might be true. He might be doing the best that he can, but there is a reason why we are the highest death toll in Europe. There's a reason why our economy right now is in the worst recession we've had for at least 300 years. There's a reason for it. It's because Boris Johnson is shit. He's taking instructions for Dominic Cummings, who is himself a wanky biscuit. There's no point to them being in charge. Really, they are fucking awful. But that's what this whole thing was. It was a publicity stunt that we really had no point in dealing with, because everything that he set out was already set out earlier that day. Although there were a few points that I picked up. For example, the up to £10,000 fine if you're caught breaking these new laws. Now, the second a Conservative Member of Parliament or Dominic Cummings breaks these laws and doesn't get fined, Boris should be thrown out of 10 Downing Street that day. Because in this statement he also said everyone is following the letter of the law. Crap. Unfiltered crap. And anyone who's removing themselves from the situation for even a moment can see that just Dominic Cummings didn't follow it. Not to mention all the other Conservatives who got caught out. He also kept promising what he normally does. Promising tomorrow what he should have been delivering today. It's September. It's September. And I can't stress this enough for everyone who's still defending Boris Johnson and the rest of these incompetent fuckknuckles. It is September. And we are in no better spot for tracking and trace, for testing and trace, than we were in March. We're in the same goddamn spot, except now we have so many months of being told, okay, well, I tried to get a test and I couldn't. That's a problem. But again, Boris promising tomorrow what he should have delivered today. And in the speech he also said words to the effect of, everyone is saying that next spring is going to be great. The reason why a few of the medical advisors have said spring will be next great. Spring is when we'll start to get over this, is because that's when they expected to see a vaccine to this pandemic coming out. Now, there is a genuine fear that I have that the government will push out a vaccine without it actually being tested. Now, for all you anti-vaxxers out there, I do want to slap you in the face so goddamn hard because you're killing children. But let's suspend that for just a moment. Let's suspend the inability to actually talk to a scientist or to understand basic principles or to just listen to people who aren't fucking Rob Schneider, for God's sake. Vaccines work, but we don't just make them and throw them out. They get tested first. And much like the orange monstrosity in the US, Boris Johnson doesn't seem too bothered about actually testing the vaccine as long as he can put something out that will make him look good for a single day. And my God, if he actually does this, imagine the kindling this will be for anti-vaxxers. We've already started to see a resurgence in diseases that we should have got rid of. But again, fucking idiots would rather listen to someone who's slightly more entertaining than someone who actually knows their shit. So that's an issue. That's a real issue. Lastly, and while I have a number of points in this, you know, the BS about the Nightingale hospitals, because there was only one and it wasn't used because we couldn't staff the damn thing. Dover Hospital has all the equipment, but the Conservatives shut most of it. There's no point. There's no point opening up building new laboratories to do these tests, which, by the way, Germany's helping us out quite a bit with our testing. There's no point building these new labs because we have labs fit for purpose across the UK that the government is just ignoring. But lastly, I want to focus more than anything on what Boris didn't say. Because while he acknowledged the global death toll, he did not acknowledge his part in British lives that have been lost. He did not acknowledge that his government has consistently ignored the medical advice from people who actually know what they're talking about. He has consistently done the wrong thing. We have seen a massive spike recently in cases, and it's because we have not listened to the medical experts. And while this scumbag keeps pushing out the British common sense, I mean, I'd love to blame the government for everything, but the British common sense saw a ton of people flooding the coasts when it got a little bit goddamn warm. But he didn't mention any of that. He didn't mention the lives that he was responsible for. He didn't mention the fact that he can't be asked to do his job. He didn't mention the fact that the track and trace program is in the hands of someone who's so unbelievably incompetent. When she was asked about numbers that came from her own office, she said that she had no idea where these numbers had come from. None of that was in this public address. That's the problem. We don't just have a part-time Prime Minister. We have a lazy gobshite who would rather listen to Dominic Cummings, an unelected bureaucrat, rather than serve the country. And in times like this, that's a big fucking problem.